Hello, my name is Kermit the Streamer, and first time doing this in a little, quite some time actually, but we'll just dive right in with a new game here. It's my favorite game at the moment, called Against the Storm. Don't want to spoil too much, but it's basically a game where you try to build cities and take a group of disparate survivors and accomplish the goals of trying to find new settlements and save the world. So here we go. Short movie.
The world is plagued by the Blight Storm, a vile cycle of destruction ravaging everything in its path. The only safe haven is the smoldering city where the mysterious Scorched Queen reigns. You are one of her viceroys, a pioneer sent into the wilds, tasked with establishing new settlements and acquiring valuable resources for the crown. Your goal is to help rebuild the smoldering city and secure the future of the Queen's subjects.
Alright, here we go. So it does a little map tutorial first, kind of get you familiarized with the environment. You've got two different tracks. You've got Queens and Patience. That's going to be on the right-hand side. And eventually you'll have your, I forget what the other one's called, but it's blue and it's on the left-hand side. And that's how you track whether or not you're winning. Here it is, right here. Reputation. Reputation is increased by things like resolve. You can also accomplish quests during the course of the game to improve it. Every time you get a gain on the reputation side, you'll get a blueprint. Now eventually these are randomized. For the tutorial, they kind of have you on a track. So you just get the thing you need, which is probably the most important building in the game, because all of your supply chains start with wood. Space pauses the game, so it's super useful. I'm going to talk a little bit about what some of the other things are here as soon as it lets me click on them. So here we go. So let's do that. So we've got a flax field here. In order to gather from that, we need a harvester's camp. We've got a clay deposit. We need a stonecutter's camp to gather from that. We don't have the ability to construct that yet. The only thing we have the ability to construct is a woodcutter's camp. So I've got a bunch of humans. They're over here too. It says I've got 3 of them. 3 of them don't have jobs. 3 of them need houses. Same on beavers over here. Beavers are really good at chopping down wood, so they're going to be the ones I want to get to work first. Then my lizards are, got 3 of those too, but one is already working. Where he's working is in the hearth. I usually like to put my lizards in the hearth because they become happy. You can see right here. He's got a +5 to his resolve if he's in charge of the fire, which means that he's happier, which is just one of the main ways you get reputation is if your people are happy. But then whenever he is working, it says right down here under Sacred Pyre there, lizard firekeepers are very adept at ancient rites. That gives everybody a +1 to global resolve, so that means all of my other people are happier. You can actually already see that this is happening in real time. It just isn't changing at the moment because I've got the game paused, but that +1 to resolve is being applied, and I think there's a little rounding on the lizard. And, you know, the fact that that one lizard has a +5 is also helping quite a bit. I assume there's some sort of diminishing returns calculation on that front where more resolve is less impactful over time. Plus, you've got to take into account that 3 lizards, only one of them gets the +5, so it ends up being an average. So lots of math in this game already. I've got a broccoli patch over here. So the first thing I usually like to do is I like to make little roads. This is just the obsessive compulsive person in me. I like to make a nice little grid. Thankfully, every game they always put the hearth and the warehouse there in a spot that makes it really easy to do this, and it's really satisfying for me. The reason why you want to build roads is because it may not seem like a big thing. Roads give a plus 5% speed increase to villagers. And that may not seem like a big thing, But basically, the way things work is when you've built a building, the workers will harvest, they'll go back to that building, and then when that building fills up, they'll go over to the warehouse and put the excess materials in the warehouse. And all along the way, if they're doing it along roads, they're doing it faster. So the fact that they're going to do this repeated action, hundreds of times in a given map, means that 5% adds up. It's not the first time it makes the trip, but by the 20th time it makes the trip, it makes a difference. You'll get the access to different materials that you can use better roads out of, and I strongly encourage that you do so. So let's get to what we're doing with this map. We've got a woodcutter's camp. I always like to put them somewhere near glades. That's what these little holes in the map are. If you do that, these glades will usually have things, more resources sometimes. Sometimes they'll have little quests that you can do. They're just the most exciting thing. Also, they give you a lot of extra space to build. You can always read the tooltips if you need to. This is like my third playthrough this game, so I won't necessarily read those unless somebody asks me to. This is our first order. Eventually you'll get to choose these, but since this is the tutorial, it tells us our objectives. It wants us to build 2 woodcutters camps, and it wants us to gather 10 wood. And if we do that, we'll get 3 more beavers, and wood cutting will become easier. Plus, we'll also gain some reputation. Cool thing about reputation too is that when you gain a milestone, you get a new blueprint. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different milestones, and then when you fill it all the way up, you win the map. And each time you hit a milestone, you'll get a blueprint. And also, when you hit that milestone, it will lower your impatience level. Your impatience level is the way you lose. Basically, it's always growing, and there are certain game events that you can have happen that will make it grow faster or make it spike. Also, if your people are really unhappy, they start to leave, and when that happens, it'll make your impatience go way up. At this skill level, it should be pretty easy to, because this is the tutorial, it should be pretty easy to do everything without causing too much ire from the queen. But it's a thing you always want to be mindful of. The maps that I lose, I tend to not be paying attention, and then all of a sudden, my impatience is all the way up to the top, and this little skull gets angrier and angrier as time goes on. It becomes pretty obvious. I mean, like, you really, if you miss it, it's because you're not paying attention. One thing you can do to make the people build the buildings faster is you can up the priority. I kind of should have done that already, because it's nice that all these guys are working on roads, but I've got so many workers right now. I really needed to get this woodcutters camp up and running a bit faster so that they wouldn't be just standing under the fire right now. Not a small thing. This is a tutorial again, so there's not really any bonus for doing things efficiently in this game, other than the satisfaction of finishing a level quicker. Oh, let's introduce this here. So you can use marking trees for harvesting. Let's see, can you make it? You can make it a smaller marker. So what I want to do here is I just want to say, chop these trees and get straight to the glen, or the glade, sorry. So I held shift down to just select individual trees. A lot of times I don't do that, I actually usually don't. And then you can do the same. Oops, I picked the tree I didn't want to harvest. Hit that little minus and click. One thing about the map here is that I think is really cool, is the smaller trees. They usually only take like two hits to chop through. See, it says 2 out of 2 charges. The bigger trees, I guess probably not on this map. There are some bigger trees on some of the harder levels that will take 20 chops. So it becomes really important when you're trying to do things quickly to make sure that you pay attention to which trees you're chopping. One thing I don't really pay attention to a lot of times too is that each tree you chop down on some maps will increase your hostility. And we'll get more into hostility later, but basically when your hostility is higher, your people over time will become gradually less happy, and less happy means it's harder to make them happy. And then it also means that your impatience is going to grow a lot faster. So normally I only like to put beavers on woodcutter camps. but I'm going to go ahead and throw some humans in there because I have nothing else for them to do. And then we'll go ahead and have them chop towards this blade down here. I believe that's the only thing I can really do right now. I still have some idle lizards, but it's going to be okay that I have those idle lizards. So here I have my first order complete, so let's right click and see we've got our 2 woodcutters camps and we've collected 36 wood. So click this, I get a bunch of beavers, which means I can come in here and I can right click, remove the people, and put the beavers back in there. So what they get when they're working in woodcutters camp is they get a 10% chance to double their yield. What that means is every time they go chop down a tree, there's a good chance that they're going to get double the amount of wood or whatever from it, because you'll notice that some of these trees, they have a percentage chance to get other materials too. So like this lush tree here has a 15% chance to get resin, that's that second box right there, a 10% chance to get plant fiber, and a 5% chance to get eggs. And all of those things will make more sense later, because right now I can't do anything else but go, oh, I've got some eggs. But as the game progresses, especially on the outside of the tutorial, we'll see what that does. So this new mission that I have is to cut through the forest, discover 2 glades. I'm already partway there because I just discovered 1, and I have to have 5 beavers, which I currently have 6, so that's great. For completing that mission, I get 3 humans and 30 meat, which is going to feed my population indefinitely. I'll get some more reputation as well. And, oh, I forgot, when I finished that other job, I got a blueprint. So I clicked up here, choose a new building, and again, since this is a tutorial, it's only letting me do the things that it wants me to do in sequence. So here's my first home. Now this is not a specialized home, so it only does a little bit for my people, but it's still a home, and my people are going to be a lot happier to be in a home. So if I go down to housing right down here, I can build these wherever I want. Now what I like to do, because I care, is I like to pay attention to where the door is. If you hit R, you can rotate the building around, and here I can make sure that the door opens up onto the street and that my people can go in and out of their house. I don't think that it really actually matters, but each one of these houses houses 3 people. So if I have a population of 12 right up here, then I need 4 houses to make them all have a home. So I'm going to build that. Now if I've got plenty of wood, my idle builders will go and they'll do their thing. They'll make those houses really quickly, chop chop. If I don't have any available workers, then I might have to unassign somebody from one of my wood choppers and get them over there to, because you don't ever order anybody to really do anything other than assigning them to a thing. This is kind of a simulation game in that respect. You say I want this done, and over time when they're able to, they do the thing. This worked really well here because I just happened to have a bunch of lizards hanging out. I had some extra humans hanging around, so they just hopped right to it. So I've discovered this other, I've done this other task. I've got my 2 blades, I've got my beavers, so now I get to do the thing. I got a bunch more people, and I got a bunch of meat. Now here's another gathering building, my small foragers camp. This is going to allow me to do grain, roots, and vegetables. You don't always have all 3 of those. Oftentimes you're only going to have 1 of them. But for now, we know that we do because it's a tutorial, and you're going to have that. So here we go, small foragers camp. Nice thing about when you click on this building, it tells you all the different nodes that you can put this thing by to get the stuff that you want. So you can try to make it to where it overlaps, but a lot of times trees are going to get in your way. I'm going to go ahead and go for the broccoli here, because I just happen to know, well, at this stage it doesn't matter, but I think that the beavers will typically prefer to eat the broccoli. A lot of the races will have, like, they can eat all the food, right? All the basic food, but they'll have a preference. And if I remember right, beavers have a preference for vegetables. That could be complete bollocks. I don't even know what I'm talking about. But that's something that I just feel like I remember. The reason why this is tricky is because you actually graduate from using the basic food sources really quickly in the more challenging part of the game. So here, because this is a farm, essentially, or it's a gathering thing, humans are really good at it. So I'm going to put the humans there, and just like our beavers are really good at doing wood, our humans are really good at gathering plant material. So they're going to get a 10% chance to double their yield. And again, what that means is every time they come back to the hut, there's a chance that they're going to double whatever they found. So if they found 2 broccoli, it could turn into 4. And this game, I think they actually only do 1 at a time, though. So it's going to be 1 and 2. But that doubling effect, kind of like the road effect, you know, that one time that it happens, it's not a big deal. But the 50th time that it happens, it started to add up. You've gotten 50 extra of something. And as the game progresses too, you don't have these rich fields of 8 nodes. You'll have a field that only has like 2 nodes. So that really makes those resources stretch longer, because the whole time you're gathering, your people are also coming to the small hearth to eat occasionally. It takes quite a while to figure out the balance of, well, I need to make sure I have this many people working food items, otherwise I'm going to run out of food. You can track that right up here. These are all the different types of food we have. And one of the nice things I really like about this game is it tells you which things have had an increase. So if you had a resource that was dwindling at a really fast rate, I think it gives you a red down arrow. So if I was running out of vegetables, if I was running out of food, oh here, this is a good example right here, my mushrooms. I'm losing mushrooms because I'm not gathering any mushrooms, am I? So the mushroom is my primary food source for most of my guys. So the mushroom has been dropping. I used to have, at one point I had 30, and now I only have 21 because my guys have been eating it. And this kind of tracks, because I had, for at least a while, I had a 9 person population. And now I have a much higher population of 15 by the looks of it, 6, and 3. Let me talk about these numbers right here. This is their resolve level, so that's basically how happy they are. And then on the wheel here, there's a little blue mark. That blue mark tells you the point where they would become super happy, in very high resolve. High resolve again leads to increase in reputation. I believe they locked, for the tutorial, they locked high reputation gains because they wanted you to do all the quests that they provide for you. So my new order, I don't know if I reviewed that with you guys, is to make a forager's camp, which I already did, and then to make 5 vegetables there. So I should be well on my way to doing that, since I've got 2 humans doing it. Now it just takes a little bit of time. You'll notice too, it gives you an output inside the building of, okay, it takes them 25 seconds to do all the things. There is an advanced version of the forager's camp, I believe, that reduces that time, and also, if I remember correctly, increases the odds that they'll get the yield doubling effect as well. I think that's the main thing that the advanced camps do. Another thing I like to talk about right here is the small hearth. You can upgrade it. And you don't actually have to click on it to upgrade it. What you have to do is you have to satisfy certain conditions. So right here, it says that I have to have a population of 8, which I have a population of 12 right now. Oh, I thought I had more. Anyway, population of 8, but I have a population of 12. And then I need to make decorations, and that's a little green box of decorations. So if I go here to decorations, notice there's a little green box. I can make a park, and I can stick it anywhere I want within the range of the hearth. If you stick it all the way out here, it doesn't count towards this hearth. But if you stick it near the hearth, and it gets built, then what's going to happen is this is going to automatically upgrade to level 1. And when it does that, that's actually going to increase that global resolve benefit that the lizard's providing by another 1. So everybody in the settlement's going to get a little bit happier. That's going to be nice, because as time wears on, we're all getting a little bit more impatient. So having something that balances that out and getting ahead of that impatience is also one of the key things that you have to manage in this game. So once my park completes, you're going to see a nice little pop on my hearth right here. There it goes. They built these little columns around the edge of the hearth, and now that tells me that we're getting that bonus. Now, since this is the tutorial, it doesn't allow us to upgrade to the next level, but if it did, we would see a new set of requirements, and this also will tell us what those extra effects are. We'll get into corruption later, but then we've got some things happening here. We've got newcomers waiting, so you'll get this little symbol here. This gives us new people, and you have a small choice to make. Sometimes there'll be more people or more resources. Depending on what you need at any given time, might dictate how you want to choose it, which side you want to choose. I tend to like to go for the more resources or the more people, depending on what stage of the game is. If it's early game, I like to go more people. If it's mid to late game, I'll usually go for more resources, or if I see a resource that I know that we don't, like my settlement doesn't have. Since this is the tutorial, it doesn't really matter here. I'm just going to take the humans because I don't have any really beneficial buildings for the lizards yet. There are plenty of maps where I would go lizards all the way because, you know, there's going to be things that they're really good at that they'll want to do. Putting down a stonecutter's camp that's going to harvest this clay. Also, the cool thing is it gives us a 50% chance to get copper ore and a 20% chance to get roots. Roots is a basic food. Copper is a thing that you can use to build other things later in the game. Also, you can build a copper road that basically triples, I think, the bonus for moving along roads. But you can't do it yet because I don't have that unlocked. Oh yeah, I got a new order. What's my new order? Make a stonecutter's camp, which I already started, and gather five clay. So since this is the tutorial, very easy set of instructions. We just do the thing and move on. We'll finish this level quickly. No benefits to putting a lizard there, so I'm just throwing the humans on there. Mark trees for harvest. That's just telling me I should direct my workers. I'll go ahead and do this. This is a thing that you'll have to start to do pretty quickly because this wood carving thing, they'll automatically chop within the green box. But if you want them to go to specific places, go to super dangerous places, it says, so don't jump there. We'll just go ahead and leave that there without giving it any instruction. And they'll just chop away. Let me see if I can find another small glade somewhere though. Oh, there's a small glade. So I'll move my woodcutter's camp right here. And then I'll just go ahead and chop into the small glade. Ooh, my stonecutter camp mission completed, so that gives us some more resolve. I can pick a new building. Ooh, got that harvester's camp. That's going to give me plant fiber and reeds. So anywhere there is a plant fiber, I can plop that down. There we go. It says here that I have 6 homeless people, so I'll go ahead and make some more homes just to do. And, you know, sometimes I put all my homes together just out of organization. Most of the time I put them where there's space. So yeah, same thing. We're just doing a harvesting camp and 5 plant fiber and then we're done. I'm going to go ahead and speed it up. This was going to come no sense in waiting. Alright. That's one of the nice things about this game is you've got controls here. Notice too my hostility is starting to come up. And it gives me a breakdown of why. The number of villagers gives me a small increase, and then the number of hearths that I have actually gives me a decrease. So one of the cool things you can do as your settlement expands eventually is you can make a second hearth, and that'll help. Another thing that's nice about that too is that gives you the chance to employ another lizard to do that global resolve bonus. So you're affecting your hostility by lowering it, and then you're also affecting the resolve by providing another wizard a good job that helps the people. Go ahead and complete this order. Get a new building. Got a crude workstation. This is oftentimes one of the first things you're going to build because it gives you your second tier of construction items. Beaver homes, for instance, require planks, and a lot of the industries that you're going to build that move you up the chain as far as things you can build in your settlement will require planks, fabric, bricks, and copper. So the things that I know, beavers' houses require planks, human houses require both bricks and fabric, and I forget, I think lizards have bricks and fabric too. And then pipes are kind of like a, I don't want to call it a third tier, but it's a parallel tier of goods. They're kind of an end point. We're not going to get into pipes right now, but they're super important. So let's go ahead and this is going to give me a chance to talk about some interesting things. You always want to try to put this near your warehouse because you'll see these little dotted lines. That tells you the places that it draws its material from. So you always want to try to think about, well, I'm going to put this near, near the thing that material has to come to it from. So I'm putting it close to the warehouse, so my little idle workers or the person that's working in this building can come to it quickly. I have no homeless right now, so that's good. Oh yeah, so let's get into this. You can do this even while the thing is building. It tells me that I'm going to need 8 wood to produce 2 planks. I can use 6 plant fiber, or if I click on the radio here, I can use other things that my people might be producing. So if I don't have a lot of plant fiber, I can use these other things. I can use them in tandem, or I can say, no, don't use my plant fiber, I need that for something else. Just use reeds and leather. Now since I don't have reeds and leather, I'm just going to go ahead and assign. Nobody gets a special bonus, so let's go ahead and stick the humans there. And I can do the same for brick. See, I have some stone here, so if I do both of these, they'll make the thing even when they run out of clay. I don't have either of these resources, so it kind of doesn't matter. So when I don't have the thing, oftentimes I'll uncheck it. That means they'll never try to build that. Ever. And that's a good way to manage your resources if you're trying to, use a specific item to make a specific thing. You can also prioritize later. You can't do that on this level. But they're going to just work away, making the things that they need to make until they run out. So we've got a new cornerstone. That's what this little mask icon is. So now we have a choice. We can do detailed map of the region. We'll supply anyone willing to help, so you can gain 20 reed and 20 clay every time you open up a new glade. That's pretty good. Or you can choose carpenter's tools. Building materials with foundation of every settlement. Production is 50% quicker in the crude workstation. So let's see what that actually does. So each of these things takes about a minute to produce. If it's 50% quicker, then voila, fantastic. It takes just under 30 seconds to do any of the things that it needs to do. That does actually become really important later, but I would say for now it's less of a big deal. So I'm going to go ahead and take this, because this huge amount of resources every time you cut open a glade is actually a big deal, because 20 and 20, like for instance here, that is going to equal roughly 3 times 2, 6 fabric. And then 6 bricks too. So it equals a lot more stuff. It takes a longer time to make that stuff, but it's more stuff. Then our next objective is to make planks, bricks, and fabric in the crude workstation. Nice thing too is our reward is a 50% bonus to the amount. So what that'll do is, instead of just making 2 every time you've got 8 planks, you'll get 3, and so forth down the chain. So you'll get more stuff for the same amount of expenditure on resources. Ooh, this is nice. This is the first time in the glade that we've discovered a building that's already made. And what this building is an herbalist camp. If we have enough resources, which we do, it would behoove us to assign as many workers as we can to the thing and go ahead and build it. You do have the option to salvage it, and sometimes that's the better thing to do. But in this case, we're going to go ahead and build it because we don't already have one of these, and it'll help us gather these mushrooms and these berries. One thing I like to do is I chop my trees away as I like to extend my roads. So, do I have any? Oh yeah, that's why they're not paying the most, because I don't have anybody available. And it's not really high priority, so I'm not going to unassign anybody right now to make that happen. mushrooms. If you wanted to prioritize gathering the berries first, you can tick up the priority. But in this case, I have nothing to do with those things yet, so it really doesn't matter. Just go ahead and let them do their work. So how are we coming on our order here? We've got 204 bricks. So they're doing the thing. Now once we've got the right number of bricks, I can go ahead and turn that off as a thing that this building is going to make by clicking the check mark. But for right now, they're doing the things they need to do, so we'll let them do those things. Go ahead and give them a little chopper line. And this glade. Do the same over here. And they should be chopping even without having the trees marked. Oh no. Yeah, because it says fell all trees. You eventually can change this to where, because one of the worst things that can happen is if you unexpectedly open a glen at the wrong time. We'll get more into that later. But, sometimes, especially with these dangerous glens, there'll be an event that you need a lot of people and a lot of material for. And if you don't have it, it can be absolutely game-breaking, because once you've discovered a glen, you have a time limit. There's usually a bad thing that'll happen if you can't complete a certain objective within a certain amount of time. You get a good thing if you get it done, but you can get that bad thing, and if you continue to fail at doing the thing, eventually it leads to worse and worse outcomes. So we'll go ahead and stop making bricks. This will just tell my people, hey, if you go into this crude workstation, you better be doing planks or fabric, because that's what we still need to do to finish our order. And it's a good time, I think. Oh yeah, so the reason why they weren't in the building doing the work is they took a break. They went to go have a meal or go take a rest by the small hearth. That'll happen from time to time, and you really can't control it, so you just gotta learn to deal. With these small encampments, this is a glade event. This one has no negative. You can either gain some gold or amber. You can. One of the nice things about missions too is you can select which resource you have plenty of. So if I was worried about running out of eggs, I could go ahead and do meat. And sometimes there'll be different amounts that you can choose. But in this case, I want more people. More people is more. Actually, no, I don't really need more people. I've got plenty of people, so I'm going to do the meat sign marker. But I only have one. That's just going to make it take a little bit longer. If I put another person in there, it might drop down to like 45 seconds or something. We'll go ahead and assign that one person. And then I'll go ahead and get more people. And then that gives me the ability to put another person and see, chops the time in half. The other thing that's cool about that is if they require a lot of goods, then both of the people would work together to bring the goods. And then once you gain the goods for completing the mission, they're going to work together to get those goods from this site back to your warehouse. Oftentimes you'll think, oh, my worker's only going to be tied up for 30 seconds. No big deal, I can finish that up. But the thing is, the extra time that your worker will be tied up is in how much time it takes for them to bring these goods back to your warehouse. We finished our job. I'll go ahead and reselect this so they'll keep making planks and things just in case we need them. We're almost done with this mission though. So we've done the thing and we've gotten our last objective. Our last objective is to cut through a dangerous glade. We have to change the resource that it wants us to use from scrolls to fabric. And the reason why you want to do that is because we have no way to make scrolls right now. I'll explain this again when we get to the actual mission. And then deliver. So that mission is probably going to reward us with an ancient tablet. We're also going to gain 30 gold. We're going to gain 1 reputation, which that's going to put us to the end of the bar, and it's going to finish the level. So that's what our main goal is. I don't need to chop this stuff anymore. What I can do is I can put my woodcutter camps over here next to each other, so all 6 of my choppers are knocking out this path into the dangerous glade quicker. And then what do I get to build? Oh, I can build a specific home. So what I'll usually do when I have a choice like this is I'll look at whichever race has my lowest resolve, and I'll pick pick that one. So my lizard house, that's who I'm going to pick because they had the lowest resolve. And so let me explain this real quick. Having a home is good. All races like to have a home. It'll give them a slight bump to their resolve. But if they have a home that's specifically made for them, like that matches their race, then they're a lot happier. It gives them an extra bonus for just being with a home that's suited to them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at, I have 3 lizards, so I'm going to make 2 lizard homes. And once those finish, what's going to happen is any of my lizards that live in the base shelters will move out to the preferred home. They'll get a accompanying increase in their resolve, and then it'll leave spaces in these other shelters for the other races whenever they show up and need a place to live. Ooh, notice too, as promised, when we completed that last order, we got an overall efficiency bonus to the crude workstation. Instead of just producing 2 every cycle, they'll produce 3, which is just a slight bump to our ability to build bigger, better things like these houses, and eventually some of the construction facilities that we'll be able to use. See, the lizards moved from the shelters they were living in. What we should notice is that there's going to be no lizards in shelters once this other shelter finishes. One thing I always forget is that if you need to know, I don't know why you would need to know, but if you needed to know where people were working, it'll tell you right down here. So yeah, so now we've got, just as expected, we've got 3 spaces of lizard housing taken up. We have no spaces of lizards inside our shelters. So that's what we want to see. One thing you can do if you wanted to manage your workload really quickly is you can hold Alt and you can see what races you have in what buildings. You can right click to unassign them, and left click to assign them. You can click over here, say I want to, if you had an available, is that how that works? Maybe it's not how it works. Never mind. Our harvester's camp, oh this is good. So this harvester's camp is out of stuff that's in its range. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the map. I see these little things. It tells me where I need to put my harvester's camp for the people to be able to do more work. So I moved it. I could go ahead and build a road out to there. A lot of times I'll do this, even if I know that I'm just going to use it temporarily. And I might as well do that down here too. Go ahead and give these guys a road so that they're not wasting a bunch of time. I could do that with the woodcutters. Most of the time they're moving from woodcutter camp to forest, but once this little thing fills up, they'll often go back to the warehouse. You can also, oh no, see those spirits? This event here triggered a negative event that killed 3 of our people. It could be because I was not paying attention. I'm switching this from scroll to fabric because that's what it says to do. Also, I'm going to go over here and I'm going to make sure that they're only working on fabric. And then I'm going to switch, I don't need this, well, I can. I'll switch it to wood because I have tons and tons and tons of wood. I'm going to put as many people as I can on there. That'll reduce this estimated time. Now, right now, I don't have the materials, so it sucks because I can't get this done no matter what. You can assign the workers there in some cases, but they'll just not do anything. Since I don't have anything better for them to do, I could leave them there. But see, it won't even let me leave this window. That's something that the tutorial does. It doesn't do that in the later levels. So let's see how we're doing with fabric. We're doing it. So I can go ahead and select these. I'll turn those back on because we only need the 3 fabric. This time period here is the storm. Notice the resolve is lower. Each year, right here, each year, the amount of resolve hit that you take during the storm increases. Also, your hostility affects it as well. The higher your hostility level gets, the more of a resolve penalty you always take. So it has just this game has some nice built-in mechanics that, up the tension as the game goes longer. So we have all of our fabric now, I think. see. So we finished the fabric, but we haven't brought it to the warehouse. So I'm going to click this forced delivery. That's going to make somebody, whenever somebody's available, it's going to make somebody who finishes the first task here, this person making bricks, they're going to go from this building over to the warehouse. And then that's how we're going to complete this mission. Because right now, it still says we don't have fabric. Because in order for it to say that we have the fabric, it has to be available in the warehouse. Right here, listing all the things in the warehouse. So much wood, so much food. Cornerstone. I love these when you get them. 15 plant fiber per minute, 15 eggs per minute. Now when you're almost at the end of the game, end of the level, it doesn't really matter. So I'm just going to pick one. Can we get our fabric yet? Come on, give us our fabric. That's probably the person there.
Wow.
Not yet, huh? What's going to happen right now is those 3 workers, they're going to go to the warehouse, they're going to grab all the things they need. I forget what their carrying capacity is. I feel like outside of the tutorial it actually tells you what they're carrying. But let's see here. When he dropped off 5 lumber. Then the next person dropped off 5 more lumber. So even though it takes 30 seconds to work this, it takes more time than that to get these goods here. So you have to pay attention to this clock here, because if this clock hits 0 before they finish, then another 3 people are going to die. That's just no fun. You don't want your people dying. It makes the queen super unhappy, and also it makes it harder for you to accomplish your objectives. Go ahead and speed it up, because we're basically finished. We just have to have this thing happen. Other things you could do to speed this up is I could have built my road all the way out to here. So now they're going to work on it, because they got all the materials. Notice that clock, once the 3rd person hops to it, speeds up. Oh, we've got newcomers. We got our tablet, so that they had to carry that tablet back, which this little human right here is doing. And then we should get our win the game. Oh, we have to click this. So this is our winning the game. We now have the ability from the start of the map to build all of these things. We gain some food stockpiles. We'll see what we can do with that. We can make farm fields now. We can make a second warehouse. We can make a second hearth. Trading post, super important. That's going to be a critical structure. So all of those buildings now we can build at the start of any map. And I'm going to wrap this video up here in just a second. We've got our new map. Press any key to start. So this gives us a demonstration of low resolve. What will start to happen here is they'll have this little red bar, and as that red bar diminishes, eventually they'll leave. Keeping the resolve high is good. They start with a very base, kind of just, we're chilling, we're having a good time. We're neither happy or unhappy. Building homes helps. Feeding them well helps. Each race has certain things that they like to have, like advanced foods and clothing and other stuff. It's giving us a tutorial over farm fields and how they work. You can place farms all over the map, right? But you can only utilize them. You can only actually employ a worker if they're near these fertile fields, and also if those fields have farm fields on them. There's some complicated buildings you can get later, like the greenhouse, that just have to be put on to fields themselves, but they come kind of mid-game. So farms are good, crops planted in the first season. So one of the things I don't really usually pay attention to is you only make gains from workers being assigned to a farm if they're able to plant and harvest. So you have to start to manage, like, I'm only going to assign the workers on there during drizzle. If you build a farm outside of drizzle, which will often happen, you'll build it during the storm season, then putting a worker there just doesn't do anything until drizzle happens. And you always try to clear those, you try to harvest those during clearance, which is the season right before the actual storm. And if you remember, the storm is when everybody gets unhappy, and that's when more than likely you're going to have people leave your settlement when it gets harder. So they want us for this mission to farm, harvest grain, and make some ale in a tavern. But I'm going to stop here actually, so as it gives me the opportunity. One of the things I like about this game is it just has one continual save. You just do save and quit whenever you're done, and then you're done. So that's this video for today. Hope you enjoyed it, and hope it makes you interested in this game.